Hello, everyone. Welcome in this another session of software engineering fundamentals, and we are learning about software development life cycles models. The various activities that are undertaken when developing software are commonly modeled as a software development life cycle. We can say it as SDLC. The software development life cycle begins with the identification of requirements for software and ends with the retirement of the software. Uh, we all know that the software development lifecycle does not exist by itself. It is, in fact, part of an overall product lifecycle. And within the product lifecycle, software will undergo maintenance to correct errors and to comply with changes to requirements. So, in the previous classes, we had discussed about various phases of classical sequential software development life cycle. The first phase is feasibility study, then requirement analysis is the another phase. After the requirement analysis, we will go through we have go through the system specification phase, then system and component designing phase. Then we had discussed about implementation and component testing phase. Then we had discussed about system testing and operation and maintenance phase. After the discussion of these all phases, and we had discussed about types of software lifecycle models. So there, although each and every model contains the standard phases of all phases of software development, standard software development lifecycle, but the method is something different in each model. In the previous class, we had discussed about build and fix lifecycle model and waterfall lifecycle models and their limitations also. So in the previous class, we had discussed about the original waterfall lifecycle model and modified waterfall lifecycle model. In this class, we will uh, discuss about the V-shaped lifecycle model, iterative enhancement model, and evolutionary lifecycle model, and then prototyping lifecycle model, and their type also. What is the meaning of prototyping? What are the various types of prototyping? And also we will discuss about the limitations of each and every model and some advantages of each and every model. So let us start with V-shaped lifecycle model. This is the illustration of V-shaped lifecycle model. Traditionally, the models used for the software development lifecycle have been sequential, with the development progressing through a number of well-defined phases. A V or waterfall diagram usually represents the sequential phases. You can see the sequences of uh, steps is there. These models are respectively called as V lifecycle model and a waterfall lifecycle model. So you can see that in the figure. The figure is the illustration is of V-shaped lifecycle model. You can see here several methods like requirement analysis is there, system designing is there, architectural designing is there, module designing is there. Then we will conduct the coding part. After the coding, we will test the each and every module. Then we will integrate all the testing. We will integrate all the modules of the system. Then we will conduct the integration testing. Then after the integration, we will conduct the system testing, and then we will give this before giving the end user, we will conduct the acceptance testing. Okay, so these are the phased you can say phased development process, which consists of all the standard steps of SDLC. Here you can see the requirement analysis phase, which is the first phase of SDLC, and acceptance testing is related to the requirement analysis, because in the requirement analysis phase we will ensure we will confirm all the requirement of the client, and during the acceptance testing we will check whether we have organized, we have developed all the we have fulfilled all the requirements of our client. Okay, so acceptance testing design, through the designing of acceptance testing, we will conduct the acceptance testing to check the requirement analysis phase, whether it is done properly or not. Then after the requirement analysis, we are conducting the system design phase, and the system testing is very much related to the system design phase, because this is the phase where we will check the we will check the system, which is either that if it is built with as per the system design requirements or not. Okay, then architecture design in the development phase. These are the development phases and these are the testing phases. Okay, so you can see in this V-shaped life cycle model, this is the sequential, another form of sequential model, and there are all essential it contains all the essential phases of SDLC, and the main part is the development phase required as much as time as the testing phase require as much as time as the development phase is required. Okay, so after the architectural design is related to the integration testing. We will design the integration test and conduct to check whether we are fulfilling the architecture design requirements or not. Then module design in unit testing is related to the module design. Module design means unit design, or designing of each and every module. We are testing separately each and every module, so unit test design is there. Through this activity we will check the outcome from each and every module. Okay, whether it is each and every module is performing as per the requirements or not, as per their initial or prescribed requirements or not. Okay, so this is the V-shaped life cycle model. There are some benefits, like this type of life cycle model can be used for a little more complex projects than the waterfall life cycle. So we can say it is the advanced part of or enhanced part of waterfall life cycle. The second benefit is the system and functional testing of requirements can capture any requirements changes at the beginning and can reduce their creep. So when you check the requirement properly, when you test the requirement properly, when you check the feasibility study of the requirement properly, then you can reduce the cost, you can reduce the errors. Okay, so this model is very much helpful in reducing the cost as well as reducing the faults and failures. The third benefit of this V-shaped model is, in this model it is possible to obtain user satisfaction by showing them the result of requirements functional testing. So when you are conducting the functional testing, because you are testing each and every step again and again, and you are spending about 50% of the time of the overall project in the testing process. You can see this phenomena here. So these testing will ensure the quality of the software. Okay, so user satisfaction, definitely you can get the users satisfied user through adoption of this V-shaped model. There is a single limitation of this model. The drawback is that here also the functional unit can be seen only at the end of the development. So if the project is of low risk and sufficient resources are available, then this model may be preferred over waterfall model. If you have small project, if you have low risk project, if you have sufficient resource, then only you can adopt this method, and it is preferable to uh, model instead of waterfall model. Let us come to the second model, that is iterative life cycle model. Iterative life cycle model is another important life cycle model, which is based on the which consists of all the phases, all the necessary phases of classical SDLC, classical system development life cycle. An iterative life cycle model does not attempt to start with a full specification of requirements. When you don't have full specification of requirements and you are in hurry to start the project, then you can use the iterative enhancement model, because it is related to the iteration of activities. You are as it is illustrated in this figure. You can see it that there are several activities performing again and again. We are performing again and again. So planning, once we have a planning, then we will design, we will implement, we will test, we will review. And after the review, when we have some problems, then we will design, we will implement, we will test, we will review. We have review. Then if we design, the iteration 3 will start. Then we will design, we will implement, we will test, we will review. And after several iterations, we will deploy the project, and then it will go under the maintenance process. So the iterative and life cycle model does not attempt to start with a full specification of requirements. Instead, development begins by specifying and implementing just part of the software, which can then be reviewed in order to identify further requirements. And this process is then repeated, producing a new version of the software for each cycle of the model. I hope you understand the process of iterative enhancement, iterative lifecycle model. An iterative lifecycle model that consists of repeating 4 steps in sequence, as I illustrated in this figure. The first is a requirement phase. A requirement phase in which the requirements for the software are gathered and analyzed. Iteration should eventually result in a requirement phase that produces a complete and final specification of requirements. Secondly, the second phase, a design phase, and in this a design phase in which a software solution to meet the requirements is designed, and this may be a new design or an extension of the earlier design. So design phase is the another phase which is important. The third phase is implementation and test phase, as illustrated in the figure. An implementation and test phase when the software is coded, integrated, and tested. And the last phase is very important, very much important, and the iteration depends on the last phase, which is the review phase. A review phase in which the software is evaluated the current requirements are reviewed and changes and additions to requirements proposed. So this is the clear understanding about the iterative life cycle model. For each cycle of the model, a decision has to be made as to whether the software produced by the cycle will be discarded or kept as a starting point for the next cycle. Okay, so somehow we somewhere we are sometimes we are referred it to as a incremental prototyping model. Eventually, a point will be reached where the requirements are complete and the software can be delivered, or it becomes impossible to enhance the software as required, and a fresh start has to be made. The iterative lifecycle model can be like to produce software by successive approximation and drawing an analogy with mathematical methods that use successive approximation to arrive at a final solution. The benefit of such methods depends on how rapidly they coverage on a solution. So the key to success use of an iterative software development lifecycle is a rigorous validation of requirements and verification that includes testing of each version of the software against those requirements within each cycle of the models. So each cycle of the model produces softwares that requires testing at the unit level for software integration, for system integration, and for acceptance. Okay, so as the software evolves through successive cycles, tests have to be repeated and extended to verify each version of the software. You are producing first version of the software, then reviewing the version of the software, then repeat all the phases, all four important phases as per this life cycle. We should repeat all four phases, that is requirement analysis, design, implementation, testing, and review. After the review, if you get other, you is there any need to further change in the model in the software, then you should repeat, you should iterate all four phases again till the successive phase or user satisfaction of the user reached. Okay, I hope you understand this iterative lifecycle model, but it is a costly model, you can say, because iteration will increase the cost of the project, software development project. So don't use in every software development project. Don't use this model in every software development project. You should. This model is preferred for critical projects only. Okay. Now come to the next model, which is incremental life cycle model. You can see, you can easily understand the incremental life cycle model. Once the requirements is fulfilled, then you can build 1, build 2, build 10 phases or increments. You can components you can develop. So Boehm produced this incremental life cycle model in 1981, and in this model, an overall architecture of the total system is developed first. The detailed increments and releases are planned properly through after the designing of overall architecture. So each increment has its own complete life cycle, usually as we have seen in the waterfall life cycle. There is each increment has its own complete life cycle. The increment has increments may be built serially or in parallel depending on the nature of the dependencies among releases and on availability of resources. Each increment add additional or improved functionality of the system. And this is the easiest illustration about the uh, incremental life cycle model which is proposed by the Boehm. Okay, there are certain benefits of incremental life cycle model because as its name suggests, incremental life cycle. Incremental means growth, slowly growth. Okay, so and you can see here that each increment has its own complete life cycle. Each increment has its design and development activity, testing and implementation activity. Build 2 is also having its design and development strategy and phase, then testing and implementation, then build. Likewise, there are so many increments. What are the benefits of incremental life cycle? There are several benefits of incremental development. Because the sub projects are smaller, project management is more manageable for each increment. So it is easy to manage a single increment. Okay, so each increment is managing of each increment is very much easy for the management point of view, project management, and it is easier to understand that the test to test the smaller increments of functionality. You can predict the functionality. Not only predict, you can ensure, you can understand the functionality of each and every increment easily. Use of successive increment provides the opportunity to incorporate user requirements resulting from experience with earlier releases into subsequent releases. The resulting software is more adaptable by design because we are enhancing the capability of the development. We are enhancing our capability of our product through this incremental approach. Okay. Uh, the next benefit is initial functions are developed sooner and there is a successive building of operational functionality over time. The returns for the investment in development are seen earlier as increments are delivered. Software releases in increments over time is more likely to satisfy changing user requirements than if it were planned as a single overall release at the end of the same period. So this incremental approach is very much important and it is one of the form of uh, classical software development life cycle. And we will come to the next model, which is evolutionary life cycle model. This model recommends incremental development using experiences from earlier increments to help define requirements for subsequent increments. And this model is also known by several other names such as evolutionary prototyping. We can say it. We can say it a rapid delivery model, or we can say it evolutionary delivery cycle, or rapid application delivery, or rapid application development model. Okay, in this model, we will have separate team for each component, and we will develop each component uh, separately. We have a different plan for the development of one component, second component, third component. We have different plans, we have different resources, we have different teams. We have different teams for development of each resources. So through this rapid application development model, increments are developed in a sequential manner rather than in parallel. And within each incremental development cycle, there is a normal progression through analysis, design, code, test, and implementation, followed operations and maintenance. So, during the operations and maintenance stage, for an increment, feedbacks from customers may cause a reiteration of some steps of development for that increment, resulting in a release of that increment. So, experience with each finished release is incorporated in requirements for the next development cycle. Okay, and from the customer's point of view, the system will evolve as increment that are delivered over time. From the developer's point of view, those increments that are clear at the beginning of the project will dictate that initial increment and the requirements for each development cycle thereafter will be clarified through the experiences of developing prior increments. So you can see easily in the evolutionary model, software concept is originated, preliminary requirement is generated, design of architectural and system core is developed. When all are developed, all initial requirements is developed, then develop a version of the system, then deliver the version, then elicitate the customer feedback, grab the customer feedback there, then incorporate customer feedback in the existing system or system provided by you, then develop a new version and deliver the final product. This is a iteration is moving. Uh, this is the evolutionary method of moving towards the quality of the software. Okay, and whenever you develop the final version, you can deliver it to the user. I hope you understand this evolutionary life cycle model very well. Now, what are the advantages of disadvantages of evolutionary life cycle? Each and every model having some advantages but disadvantages also. So what are the advantages of evolutionary life cycle model? There are some benefits. First benefit is early delivery of portions of the system, even though some of the requirements are not yet decided. Because you can see here that when we are when we are getting the feedback from the customer, we can incorporate the customer feedback, and then we will develop the new version uh, with the uh, changing need of the customer. So it is a evolutionary life cycle. Okay, we can say it. So use of early release as tool for requirement elicitation. And the third advantage, that benefits of the systems are realized from every release while later release are being developed. So you can provide the initial release to the customer, to the client, and you will provide the final release later on. Okay. Now, the disadvantages of evolutionary life cycle. There are so many disadvantages also. First disadvantage, the overall elapsed time for the project may be longer if the scope and requirements are established before any increment are developed. When the increment is developed, already developed, and the requirement is coming from the at the customer side, then what will happen? It will uh, uh, increase the cost and time of the project development of the project. The second disadvantage is difficulty in estimating cost and schedule at the start of the project when scope and requirements haven't been established. The third disadvantage is time apparently gained on the front end of a project because of early releases may be lost later because of the need of rework consulting from evaluating requirement. So when evolution is going on, changing requirement, we are having we can get changing requirement of the client, and we have to incorporate all these requirements to the uh, incorporate all the requirements, changing requirements in our new version. Okay, so it is time consuming, and it will make the software development process tedious. Additional time must also be planned for integration and regression testing as increments are developed and added to the system. So testing time, you can plan more testing time, you can spend more testing time on this when you are adopting this evolutionary life cycle model. Okay, come to our next topic, which is prototyping lifecycle model, its types and limitations. It is a very important type of life cycle. As you see in the illustration, requirement collection is the first step, feasibility study is the second step, then the prototyping. Prototyping means dummy model. So develop a prototype. You should develop a prototype, which is the small part which contains all the essential features of the proposed system, proposed software. Develop a prototype, then test the prototype, then get the customer's review. If the customer approval, if you can get, if you will get the customer approval, you can proceed further. You can design the entire system, then code it, then test it, then install it, and it will go under the maintenance. So the prototyping is important because if you don't found the customer's uh, approval here and his revised instructions or revised uh, requirements, then uh, you can go towards you can change uh, your designing phase accordingly, and then again give it to the customer for their review. If customer, you can get, if you will get the customer approval, you will decide, you will continue the further the designing process, or otherwise you will stop the development process, because after all we are working for the customer satisfaction. We are making software not for ourselves. We are making software for as per the client need, for the satisfaction of the client. Okay, to get the money, and money, we will get the money after our client is satisfied, after only when our client is satisfied. Okay, so prototyping is based on the idea of developing an initial implementation of user feedback and then refining this prototype through many versions until a satisfactory system emerges. So this is the general phenomena. Prototype is also referred as evolutionary development. Prototyping aims to enhance the accuracy of the designer's perception of the user's requirement. The specification development and validation activities are carried out concurrently with rapid feedback across and uh, activities. Generally, prototyping is characterized by the use of